Are you seriously going to eat, you fat blibbity blabbity blob? I mean, some of you might be like,
continual.
why would I want to start this?
Sensitive. She's sensitive.
You are listening to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast, where we share stories that are, you guessed it, unscripted.
That's the thing, this journey doesn't stop.
It doesn't really
right?
end. We have a general sense of the topic each episode, but really the whole point is just to show up and be authentic and let our inner child speak its truth. And I have continued to work through that story of constantly hearing, well, we don't want, got a hot dog on our hands. Yeah, guess what, Mr. Sabatsky, you do. So I'm so excited that you are here, and it is my hope that you hear yourself somewhere in the story so that way you can feel seen and heard as well. So let's start talking. All right, drum roll, please. I was a drummer in middle school, so my inner child is loving this moment right now. I should have got actual drumsticks. But today is the day, folks. For those of you that have been regular listeners, you have heard me tease about this big announcement for months now. We actually recorded today's episode back in April. So I'm going to be cutting out the parts where we mentioned dates in May that are long past due. This is just such a powerful testament to the power of perseverance and not giving up on a dream, and that you are going to hit roadblock after roadblock, obstacle after obstacle. But if you know in your soul, in your heart, that this is something that you are meant to do, you have to trust in divine timing and trust that it will happen when it's meant to happen. And so here we are. It is now June, and you can don't pencil in, marker, glitter, star these new dates. And I'm not going to share what they're about because I do want you to watch the episode. But if you follow me on social media, you already know. I posted it there. But today's episode is really, really cool because we dive into how it all happened, how it's been literally a lifetime, no joke, a lifetime in the making, how our paths can intersect and how we're all truly connected, and the people that are meant to be a part of your life will be a part of your life in some form, shape, or another. And that is very much the case in the story here today. And it would be so incredible and amazing to see some of the Tami Talks listeners at these events. So get your calendars out, and I'm going to need you to circle and star and glitter these new dates because they are real dates. They are legit dates because every month we have been pushing them back, and finally we're like, we're just done setting dates for this until we know for sure. But now we know for sure. So mark your calendars for July 9th because we are having a big old party here in Madison from 4 to 7. So that's a Wednesday night. And there's going to be all kinds of prizes and giveaways and amazing dealios. And you can come party with me. And then on July 12th, which is a Saturday, we are hosting something pretty amazing at 8 o'clock and 9:30 on Saturday morning. You're going to want to come maybe in like some workout clothes or something and be ready to dance to a live DJ and get your sweat on. So I will leave it there and get you over to this episode so we can finally unveil this big announcement. And so thank you for those of you that have supported this whole journey behind the scenes, because man, it has been a process and a journey, and it is quite the story. So again, I will post all of the links that you may need following this episode in the show notes below. And I hope to see some of you there at those July 9th and July 12th dates, and then even moving forward. So more Tami all the time. All right. Enjoy the episode.
Cover it up.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast. The long-awaited announcement episode is finally here. I have been teasing this for months now. And for those of you that are listening, I have someone sitting next to me. Her name is Andrea, and we go way back. And she was actually a guest on my very first set of episodes at that point as my branding manager. And so we are back working together, but in a completely different way.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that... I was going to say our joke about us getting married, but not necessarily to each other.
Oh. Well, now you might have to tell the story later. Another episode.
Okay. But anyway, so we do have a big announcement. And if you are listening, I highly recommend you hop over to YouTube because we're about to unveil. We are covering up the big secret right now.
Sitting here very awkwardly.
But Andrea and I, and we have one other person with us, are officially opening a gym
At
F45. Hopefully that sounded okay coming through there. But yeah, we are opening a gym. We are having a gym baby. So we were joking. That was the whole we're getting married to gym because we're opening a gym.
And it's our baby as well.
And it's our baby.
Weird, but whatever.
Yes. So we've just really complicated our relationship. We went from branding manager to it's complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is happening.
Finally, long awaited. Oh my goodness.
Yes. And it's a really kind of cool full circle moment for us. I mean, we wanted to do an episode about it because the story is kind of wild and crazy of how it all came together. But it actually goes even further back than just the last few months. But how this all kind of started is Andrea and I had been working together. She was helping me do my rebrand, which that all rolled out last year, 2024. So we've been working together. And I think it was May or something. You're like, hey, do you want to come work out at F45 with me? And I'm like, yeah. Like hang out and work out? Absolutely. And I fell in love with it. I'd been working out at a different gym and just doing more just like solo weight training and loved that as well. But I forgot how much I missed group fitness and that community atmosphere and just, I don't know, the energy there was just so different. And so I fell in love with it. And so if you were following me on social media, you probably saw a lot of little videos from there. Like, what? Where is she at? What is she doing? And like, this looks super fun. And so, but it kind of started because you fell in love with it. And so,
yeah. I stumbled upon it by accident. I was traveling and came back a little earlier than expected and didn't have a workout home, if you will, for a couple of weeks. So my friend told me to join her for a free trial. And I'm like, what? This place is amazing. And it goes way beyond the workout. And sometimes I think F45ers get it, but it's sometimes hard to explain. There's an amazing community there. The workout is incredible. You feel great, but the mental aspect, everything about it is just so wonderful. So needless to say, I didn't go back to my old gym. Sorry, folks, I do miss you. But fell in love with this place and it became my new home and everyone there became my new family too. They were so welcoming and I achieved more gains in the 7 months that I was there than I did elsewhere at all. Period. And I was, not changing my frequency or anything of that sort. It was just more I was in sync with it and it worked with me. And I finally found something that clicked.
Yeah. So I would hit up workouts with her and just had a blast and loved it because it was so different that there were strength training days and there was more cardio days and you could just lose yourself in the workout and the music was awesome. I don't know. I fell in love with it.
It was good for friends. We could chat. We could have fun all while following along.
Yeah. Definitely dance in between sets.
Well, you did.
I did.
I just looked at you funny.
So, and then all of a sudden.
Well, so Monday before Thanksgiving, I'll never forget because this was definitely a pivotal moment in my life.
Yeah.
You find something you love and you're hanging out with all these amazing people and comes crashing down. It closed. So we were all very devastated and it was stuck in my head that this can't happen. I have to figure out how to fix this. So I think a few days went by.
Well, it's funny because it closed on Monday and you and I already had a walk scheduled for that Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I knew, I'm like, oh, no. I know what F45 meant to you. And so when I heard that it closed, I was like, oh, shit. I need to check on Andrea.
That's right. We
check
did.
on your strong friends because, so we had a walk scheduled already.
Yes, we did. And I also had a meeting set up with a mentor of mine that I have been chatting with for a long time. And we set these meetings months in advance. It just happened that there was one, I think, like that Wednesday too, or something like that. But so it got stuck in my mind. And I remember telling Tami, like, you know what, I'm going to dig into this. And if I can figure out what happened, I'm going to continue the conversation. Because obviously if I can't figure it out, then we got to just let it go because it can't be fixed. Making a long story short, I figured out what happened really quickly and I decided to push forward. So it was like a week or two after that. And I was going to get some partners involved, but I didn't really know who. Told Tami, I was just kind of talking, just vaguely. And Tami reaches out and is like, so about those partners.
Well, it was so funny because she reached out to me about nutrition because my background is I'm a registered dietitian. And so she's like, would you want to offer nutrition classes there? I'm like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Of course I would. But then you started talking about this investor opportunity. I know exactly where I was sitting at the coffee shop. And I just found myself leaning in. Like, I want to know more. A total like FOMO kind of moment where I was like, I don't want to be left out of this. Like, if you're doing this, I want to be a part of this. I want to know more about this. And I remember walking home like, what is happening? Am I interested in opening a gym? And then it just, yeah, I reached out like, I need you to tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was the last person on your radar.
I don't know. I wanted people that were passionate about it. That was my number one. And it's not like I'm going to go around asking all friends and family. I don't want to be that person, but I think that's why it didn't dawn on me at first. And I was just sharing. And I certainly didn't pick up on the vibe you were putting down.
Like creeper vibe. I'm just leaning in. Why are you so close to me, Tami?
I was like, oh, she's really interested. That's so nice of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, Tami expressed her interest and decided to become involved. And then Andy, who is another partner of ours, who is a member, former, now soon to be member again at F45, also did. It was easy to find members because we're not the only ones who loved it. So I knew that there would be more that we could have asked as well. But so yeah, the three of us are jumped on board, and it's been a process.
Yep.
We'll say that. There's legal stuff is real, and getting affairs figured out is real. And we were planning on opening in January. It was all set to go. We had been approved by F45, and then we ran into a couple of snags. So we're holding, and then we think we're ready to go. We're like, yeah, mid-February is going to be a Valentine's Day type deal. We're going to roll it out. It's all about love.
Yep.
And a couple more snags. And then there are a couple more snags and a couple more snags. And then here we are. It's just dragging to the point where I thought it. I'm sure you thought it. Is this shit ever going to happen?
Right. Yeah, there was just like this period where it was just a lull of, like, I just almost kind of forgot about it. Like, is this happening? I just, put it on the back burner. But for a long time, we were just pedal to the metal trying to get everything ready and rolled out. And then I was like, okay, we're just waiting for legal stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it goes a little deeper than that, but we won't bore you with all of the red tape.
But a part of that too is, we just talked briefly before we started this, is when you just intuitively know. And I mentioned this on the episode with Jamie and Kevin, the coaches that I've been working with. I make decisions like I'm a splenic in my human design, where it's just this knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what it was. I didn't question it at all. I didn't go into this, well, what if this happens and what if that happens, and like any of that. It was just, I knew I wanted to do this. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. And even when talking to my parents, like, I needed to bounce this off someone, like, am I about to do this? And I remember my dad being like, Tami, it makes total sense for you to own a gym. You have basically lived in a gym for the last how many years? This seems like an obvious part of your path. I'm like, oh yeah. And actually there are a lot of things, behind the scenes too, where it was all making sense, of things that didn't play out the way I thought they would at other places. And it's like, I was always supposed to pour into my own community.
Mm-hmm.
And that became very clear. And that was one of those where they always say rejection is God's redirection. And that was very much what happened here. And it just seemed so clear that this was always supposed to be how it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the passion was there. I want this not only for myself, but I want everybody else to be able to achieve what we've achieved there.
Right.
And so subconsciously, I was overly passionate about this.
Yeah.
It was easy to persevere through all these. I'm like, we will wait. We will wait on this because it means that much. I was even advised by a few people that you have to give up because that's what you do.
Right.
Because if it doesn't happen, you just
on your timeline.
Yeah, you just sometimes have to let go of opportunities, which I respect their thoughts because these people have bought multiple businesses. But I kept pushing back And one of them even said, I applaud your perseverance, because I would have thrown in the towel. I'm like,
Yeah.
but I knew
Right.
it was going to happen. I didn't know when.
Yeah.
And we had to surrender.
Oh, yeah. And that has been a theme on this podcast many a times. And a very reoccurring theme lately in my life is trusting the timing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, so many of us, like, we have such immediate gratification with our phones and all these other things, and we want that hit right now. And they say, like, good things are worth waiting for, and I'm sure there's a million little quotes about that, but it truly is trusting in divine timing, and that there is a reason that maybe things didn't all pan out and work out how they were supposed to when we thought they were. It's like, it's not on our time, and we just had to completely surrender. And I remember when you took off to go to Florida for a little bit, that was you surrendering, just be like, you know what, I'm taking my foot off, because I have never seen anyone work so hard, so consistently for months as this woman did. And that's why I was like, I'd be stupid to not go into business with this woman, because she had everything mapped out for an entire year. And then beyond that, and all of these things, marketing and branding, that's your other business. And I was like, well, shit, like, she's got that part figured out. Ooh, that reminds me of the other story that we could share about, where my stuff came forward, and realizing that I was worthy of this too. Because I think initially, like, I trusted my intuition, like, this makes total sense. You love the gym, all that stuff. But then, like, the more we started getting into the legal stuff and the business stuff, I'm like, this is going all over my head. Like, this is not my forte, the business world. And I started to kind of second guess, like, am I as worthy to be a partner in all of this? And what do I bring to the table? And I remember that email when we were just, like, kind of sorting things out at the very beginning. And it was the first time I was like, wait a second. Like, I almost kind of felt like I needed to, like, fight for this. I need to show her how much I want this and how much I deserve this. I'm like, I've been building my entire life resume for this, And I was like, wait a second. I bring something very different to this mix. I'm not going to be the one talking about payroll and that kind of stuff, but, like, I know how to build community at a gym. I know how to bring the fun and bring the energy and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, I bring a different kind of skill set. And I love, if Andy were on here, how the three of us kind of complement each other. But it was a good moment for me to have that, to, one, realize how much I really wanted this, but also how much that I was actually very qualified to be in this role as well, just in a very different way. So that was like, oh, look at that growth, Tami.
Yeah. Well, I remember that we had to have a very real conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't get what you don't ask for, so you need to be clear with me. And I don't read between the lines very well, so just lay it out.
Yeah. So that was not a moment to be people pleasing, and it felt like that too. Like, shit, like, this is your moment, Tami. You have to stand up for what you want, and that is hard for me, because I remember immediately seeing the email. I'm like, oh wait, what? And would have kind of drank down or just been like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, I want in on this.
And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Just
right. And this is, again, where, like, I could have created all of these stories, and I started to, and that's when I was like, no, you just need to communicate. And that is what I'm learning. And it is, for some people, it's so clear. Like, why wouldn't you just clearly communicate that? For those of you that relate to me,
we all have our things, right?
Stuff that goes to your head. You're like, oh, that makes sense of why you couldn't have just communicated that. And you created 18,000 stories about, X, Y, and Z. And yeah. So here we are. We made it through.
We made it. So yeah, that trip to Florida was my surrender. Well, initially, we were having to do this so quickly that I was like, okay, we got to do this. We got to do that. And you just can't flip on a business. Granted, it is pretty turnkey at this point, still set for the workout, remember, but there's a lot to be done. And there's a lot that we wanted to change. So there was putting a lot of things together. And I'm the type that I need to have things prepared or I'm going to be stressed out.
Yeah. And I'm fly by the seat of your pants. So again, it's great.
Yeah.
We challenge each other that way.
Yeah. So I told Tami, I'm like, I'm going to Florida. Something may happen, something may not, but we have to surrender. And when I got back from Florida, things. You take it.
Yeah. Life happens. And we realized very quickly of why there was more delay in all of this. And it was a really important time for Andrea to heal and going through some things. And also, I think
You can say.
so she lost her best friend and her dog, Moxie. And
She was going to be our gym dog.
she was going to be our gym dog. And I got to know Moxie because we would have all of these meetings, and we started going over to Andrea's house to have these meetings. And so Moxie would be there and welcome me in the door. And then, we'd get her little bed sitting right at the table in the corner while we were working because she wanted to be a part of it. And it was just the absolute sweetest dog and just the healthiest looking dog. And it was so cool to see their relationship. And I feel so honored and blessed that I got kind of the behind the scenes of your relationship, because it was like they would communicate. Like literally you could just, Moxie would look at her and she would say something like she could totally understand what she was saying. It was so cool. But it was just such a beautiful, beautiful bond. And yeah.
So we knew why things were delayed. Because there was absolutely no way I could have handled both of them at the same time.
Right.
And Tami said that to me shortly after she passed. She's like, oh, we know why. And I said, you know what? If this kicks up right now, if we get the answers we've been wanting, if we get the response, we'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened like a week later?
Yeah.
So things kicked back up and here we are. And we've been moving ever since. So
yeah,
it all fell into place as it needed to be. And I think it's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Sure, it's after what we initially planned on, but it didn't matter to us. We knew that this was something that was definitely in the cards for us. And we were just going to be patient and we were going to wait and persevere through the phone calls and the empty promises and all that stuff that we had to endure.
Yeah. Well, and I think going through that too, movement was still an anchor for you to process grief and all of the emotions and things. And I think that is a big part of why working out is so important for people. And I've talked about movement on here a million times and just how we need that to move our emotions and clear our energy. And that's why I'm so excited to bring what I love into this space. And so it's not just a 45-minute workout for people, and that you're coming there for so much more, and really being able to express that and communicate and not just leave it up to people to figure that out on their own. Like, no, when you come here, this is not just about burning calories. There's a reason that you feel lighter after a workout. And obviously there's all the endorphins and we know about those things. But there's so much more that happens when you commit that time to yourself. And from an inner child perspective, it's a beautiful way to reparent. It's a beautiful way to say, you are worthy of my time, my attention. I'm going to take care of you. Like, what kid wouldn't want that quality time to just play? And I feel like F45 is like an adult playground. You get to just go and play for 45 minutes and there's amazing music and you're moving your body and challenging yourself and you're like tapping in. But if you can learn how to tap into your emotions, that workout, it becomes therapy. And I'm not saying it needs to replace your therapy, but it becomes a form of that, because people ask me all the time, like with some of my intensity with working out or, like flipping the tire or whatever, I'm tapping into that. I am clearing anger, rage, whatever. Sometimes it's sadness or it's joy. It's a way to express joy. It's like, it's all of the things. And there's a reason that emotion has the word motion in it. We need to be able to move through that. And I think if people can really tap into that, it's going to be a really cool experience for people. But again, it's a way that you reparent and heal, and you don't even know you're healing. You think you're working out, but you're healing because your inner child feels worthy of your time and attention, that you actually care. And we think about all the things that we do to our body, and just sending that message that working out should not be the punishment for what you ate or how much you hate what you see in the mirror. Working out should be an act of self-love. I love myself enough to show up and do this workout. I love myself enough to honor my body in this way and to move it. Like, our bodies crave movement. We all know when you're sitting for hours, think about you're sitting at work and you get up, or you're on the couch all week and you're just like, oh, you're so stiff because your body's like, yeah, because you didn't move me. Your body craves movement.
Yeah.
And they say a body in motion stays in motion.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the therapy aspect, but it's for real. You know, remember the conversation we had where I was telling you about, and these are things that I didn't even realize until we had these conversations. You know, it's not like these things they were buried deep in the subconscious.
Yep.
But when I was younger, I played softball and I got injured right in my senior year, and it was my life. That's all I did. At that point, when I was injured and I couldn't play anymore, I didn't feel like an athlete anymore.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how that affected my life for the next at least 15 years.
Yeah.
I stopped working out. I was not healthy. I didn't feel like an athlete. Of course I was an athlete. I had been my whole life.
Right.
When I was at F45 and I was able to do a pull-up for the first time, for God's sakes, I'm like, oh, hi, athlete. There you are.
Yeah.
And for the first time in however many years, I can say I felt like an athlete again.
Yeah.
I mean, never would have been seeking to fix that or to even address it. I didn't even know it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many things to be discovered.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
Yeah. Again, it's truly bringing out, I say inner child, but it could be that inner teenager. It's tapping back into that aspect of the things that we used to love. And again, when you go back, way back, whether you were an athlete in high school or not, every kid, you love playing, you love movement, every kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then we slowly start to get out of that when really at our core, like that's
everything else takes precedent at the moment.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, I'm a better me if I put me first for this 45 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Or I'm a way better me for everything else.
And honestly, like I see that as, and that's why she saw a picture of my second grade self over there with her sweet Aquanet hair style.
Which I think she should bring back for our grand opening.
Oh, I might. I just got to go like this. And it's like something about Mary hair. I'll use Aquanet.
Okay.
This is a PG podcast.
Was a PG podcast.
If these are your owners of F45, come and join us. We will have lots of fun.
It may not be appropriate all the
We
time,
don't
but
take life too seriously. Like, where was I going with that? There was a point to that. Something about inner child stuff. Gosh, I'll cut this part out. This would be a great time to put an ad where my mind I just lost my thought. All right, real talk here for a second while I try to find that thought that I just lost. You know those moments where you shut down in meetings, or you over apologize, or you avoid hard conversations, or you constantly feel like you're not enough no matter how much you achieve or how much you try? Yeah, that's not just a personality quirk. That's pattern behavior rooted in old survival strategies that you likely developed when you were just a kid. And that's exactly the work that I do through unscripted healing. Whether I'm working one-on-one with people or I'm leading workshops or training teams and organizations, I love, 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 love to help people connect the dots between their past and their present so they can stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from a healed and grounded place. Because emotional wellness isn't just a buzzword. It is literally the foundation for how we lead and how we parent and how we show up at our jobs and in our relationships and how we treat ourselves. And I don't just teach this work. I live it. Just ask my kids. And I have done it and I have guided others through it. And now I'm creating spaces, including this new gym that we're opening up, where healing happens from the inside out. So if you are ready to do the work or bring this kind of deep, lasting change to your school or to your teams or to your organizations, head over to unscriptedhealingwi.com and let's rewrite these patterns and stories together. Okay, back to the episode. So welcome back.
Gave us time to remember a pretty cool little aspect to this too. So there's been intention in the universe for years that Tami and I to do this. So when we were working together, we would share these personal tidbits, and I had said, oh, I went to UW La Crosse, and Tammy's like, oh my God, I did too. And I was like, yeah, I was in the, I was doing strength and conditioning, but I switched majors. I ended up getting a minor, didn't do anything with it. She's like, oh my God, I did too.
Yep. Oh, Mitchell Hall. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, all those ESS classes. Yeah. What are you doing with them now? Nothing. Oh, yeah, me too.
Totally took a different path.
But as we were laughing at all of this, though, when we first met, who would have thought that a million years later, we're actually putting all of that to use, which, by the way, we both got our CPT, certified personal trainer, in this
After
interim.
how many years? Full circle moment.
Yeah.
Because, well, and a little more story, and I think I maybe have mentioned this on a couple different podcasts, but those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome, is that I thought when I went to school for exercise sports science that I could exercise my way out of my body image issues and my binge eating issues. I was like, well, exercise, I'll just become a personal trainer and I'll magically solve all my problems. And when I ended up gaining 40 pounds instead, whoops, I had zero confidence when I was in that program.
Yeah.
And yeah, I call it the junior 40. And I was like, well, look at you, overachiever. That completely derailed my career in anything personal training, anything in the gym, because I was like, who's going to want to train with me? No one's going to believe me.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked out all the time. But at that point, I was working out to offset the entire pizza I ate in my car. And it was always to offset that. And so when I realized, oh, well, you can't exercise your way out of your emotional eating habits, that's when I was like, oh, well, I should fix it and get a master's degree in nutrition. And then I'll become a dietitian and that will magically solve all my problems. And that did not. So it's not a knowledge problem, people. Trust me, I paid a lot of money for that knowledge and did not work. And that's where I, eventually got into the inner child work, because I realized, even though at that point I had kind of figured out, nutritionally what my body needed. And I share a little bit more on this in episode 1. For those of you that are watching it for the first time, you can check that out. But I had to do a lot of healing around my relationship with my body, my relationship with food, my relationship with exercise. And it's been in the last, 9-ish, 8-ish years where I started to want to treat my body better and started to fuel my body better. And working out was more of to find out what me and my body were capable of. But again, that's why I completely derailed from getting my personal training certification right out of school, which would have made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I had zero confidence to do that. And I remember what I would used to wear in the gym. I was tying long sleeve. I always have a long sleeve shirt and I would always tie it around my waist and I'd always wear these terrible baggy pants because I didn't want anyone to see my legs. And I would try to cover up my butt and I wouldn't be caught dead in anything but like a baggy tank top. So now people at the gym are like, what?
Well, that was all in back then. You were fine.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But I was completely insecure. And so working out for me and like, that's why I'm so excited to be able to pour all of that in F45. I'm going to feel like a bit emotional because it feels like a way to honor my college self.
Yeah.
And let her know, like, girl, we made it. We didn't give up. We took quite the detour to get back here, but you always knew. And so every workout to me is a way that I honor her and I show up for her. And so when you talk about going back to that athlete, like, that means something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that taps into a part of you that, like, ooh, that hits your heart and that helps you show up in a completely different way than just going and checking the box and getting a 45-minute workout. When I show up for my sophomore self, my junior self, who was completely intimidated in the weight room with all of these athletes, I show up for her. I'm like, girl, you're a badass now. Like, and I want to help other people find that and tap into that. What part of you do you need to honor and can bring out in these workouts? If it's just to find that inner strength, if it's just to find that voice and to remember that you are powerful and that you are strong and to work through some of this stuff. And so I think when we think about how this gym is going to be different, it's because it's not just a gym and we're bringing all of that into this experience.
Yeah. Inviting everybody to find their college self, and that was one of the conversations we had that absolutely bonded us because we very similar stories. I remember sitting in Mitchell Hall looking down, I'm working in the weight room and I'm looking down the halls. People are coming in, checking them in, coming into to work out and being like, you're not worthy to be here. You're not an athlete. Yeah. What are you doing? And I would do the same thing. I would go into workout and I just would just be intimidated by everybody. I'm like, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
This isn't for you. You lost that.
Yeah.
You gave up.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no.
And I think knowing what that feels like, and then being able to open a gym where we will make sure that
Absolutely.
everybody feels welcome. Because
Mhm.
like we remember what it felt like to walk into a place and feel completely intimidated and not feel like you belong, or to feel like everyone's judging you and staring at you. They're not. But that's what your ego will tell you.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it can get in your head enough to where you stop showing up for you. And really, that's exactly what your inner child needs you to do, is be like, no, you feel the fear and you do it anyway, and you show up anyway. And then you find that everyone has a story. Everyone in there is working through something, whether they are intentionally doing it or not. Something got them there.
Yeah.
And when you can tap into that, that's what'll keep you there.
Yeah. Because we have those experiences and because we understand, you can bet that we're certainly not going to allow that to happen to anybody else.
Right.
We want everybody to feel welcome when they come through those doors and open to share their story if they want to as well.
Yeah. I have a podcast that they can share it on if they want.
Get them back to their inner athlete, or, feeling worthy of being in the gym.
Well, and I think as adults, like, it becomes like all work and no play. And that's where we start to get depressed and disconnected, because we have disconnected from our younger self, from the one who wanted to play, from the one who needed that outlet to move. And whether that's other fun hobbies that you do, but when you can start to think of exercise as that, instead of exercise as something you have to do, rather something that you get to do because it brings that part of you out, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to go there feeling, what kid wants to do something where they feel it's like a punishment? Like, well, you ate like shit today, so you better get to the gym. Like, if I told my kids that, like, they are not motivated to do whatever the thing is I told them to do. Versus like, hey, like, you did this, like, let's go play, let's go run around. Absolutely, they're all for it. And so it's just kind of reframing that to think of exercise in a completely different way. And that's where I'm really excited too, if we want to talk about our Saturday stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So again, we don't want it to just be a workout, is that we want to bring all aspects of health and healing into this space. And so we're calling them our post sweat sesh. Ha, P.S.
Little bonus, a little extra.
So after our Saturday workouts, which are always super fun, and those are 60 minutes, we are going to bring in different people, whether it's yoga or meditation or how to swing a golf club or whatever it is. You have people coming in and talking about menopause, or a gazillion trillion different things and ideas, because there are so many tools out there to help us have this well-rounded approach. And so we want to be able to support the whole person and be able to offer support in all different kinds of ways, and not just that 45-minute workout. So Andrea told me that I can't have all of them, because I was like, I got 52 inner child sessions coming right up, baby.
No, she cannot have all of them.
Can't have all of them. I do have some really good ones though planned. Yeah, and just being able to talk about nutrition in a different aspect, because it's never been a knowledge problem. And most people going to work out know what they, quote, should be doing and should be eating. But then for whatever reason, we kind of get into that all or nothing. And there's just so much that I have learned with my journey of being an emotional binge eater and using exercise, that I want to be able to share with people to start healing that relationship with food. So that way, when you're coming there, you're getting the most out of it, not just in that 45 minutes, but outside of the gym, because that is what really matters and what really counts, is how are you taking care of yourself outside of that. And I think that's something unique to F45, and what we're going to be able to offer people is.
Yeah, that was the big motivation behind it, is offering tools for everybody to be their best self.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting. It'll be fun little sessions. Some of them will be really playful and just kind of games and fun. And some of them will be a little bit more serious, where it's information that you need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And the community is just, there's something about going somewhere and know you're going to be able to say hi to someone. And even if you don't know anybody, that's kind of what this environment is. You're high-fiving at the end, and there's just something that feels good. It feels, again, very kind of kid sports, at the end of a game, you're going through and high-fiving, like good game, good game, good game. That's kind of what you're doing at F45. It has that feel to it.
Somebody's cheering you on.
Someone's cheering you on. And again, this is why working out, it's all inner child work. I'm sorry, it is. Because we all need that. We lose that. As adults, we don't think that we need that kind of support and encouragement. Like, I can do it on my own, which is its own wound. But to be in that environment and having people support you and cheer you on and encourage you, like, no, you can lift more than that. I know you can, and then you do, and you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
I think I was capable of that. Like, hell yeah, you are. And it helps you tap into parts that you didn't even know were there, that you forgot were there.
Yeah. I mean, having the coaches come over and be like, try this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're looking at them like,
I can't do that.
I can't. I just did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that was a part of my fitness journey. I told myself from the presidential fitness test back in middle school, right? Who doesn't have trauma from that? Start a support group for that. Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have heard stories. And I have my own. Like, I told myself I couldn't do a pull-up. Like, and Aria is very much built like me, where we weren't overweight, but we were just solid. And so I weighed more, but I didn't look quote unquote chubby or fat as a kid. And she's just solid. But I could not do a pull-up to save my life. In middle school. And so I told myself that story most of my life. And it wasn't until I kind of got back into the gym and was starting to get challenged that I was like, oh, you start where you're at. Maybe you start with bands or whatever. But people might look at me now and not realize that that was a story that I told myself too. And so that's where I said, like, I've been building this resume my whole damn life, because it's like, if I can do it, you can do it. Because my transformation, it's just about consistency. It was never about perfection. And I'm excited to share that. And it feels like kind of my whole journey has been leading up to this moment. Like, of course you were supposed to open a gym, you idiot. So
I know. For both of us, it's kind of like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought differently.
Right.
So being that it's a no-brainer, that's our reason and our why.
Yeah.
Well, part of the why, just to keep going and making it happen through all that time.
Well, and I think this is such an important, the reason that we really wanted to share this as well is because this wasn't on either of our radar.
Not at all.
6 months ago, not on our radar.
No.
At all. I had never thought. I mean, I love going to the gym. People joke that I live at the gym. Now I can actually kind of like claim it. I'm like, yep, that's right there. But it's just being open. You just never know when an opportunity is going to fall into your lap that may not have been on your plan or your path at all. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I need to sit with this. I need to be open to this. But sometimes we get so tunnel vision. I'm like, nope, this is the job that I have. This is what I'm doing. And, you got your plan mapped out, but you don't leave any room for magic and you don't leave room for opportunity. And this was really cool. And that's why I remember having this conversation with my dad. I don't feel like I can pass this up. There was not one shred of doubt that this is absolutely, like, God's like, hey, I know it took you a while to get here, but here you are. And so I think back to Wendy's episode where she said she had to wait 30 years for God to give her the message on what her purpose was. But then it was so clear. And this feels like a big part of that. So it was like, oh yeah, because that was, what year did you graduate lacrosse? We're going to age ourselves. I was
2002?
Yeah, I think I was 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 20 years later, here we are. But in better shape than I was then. Like,
for sure.
So yeah, there is hope in wherever you're at in your story and your journey. When you see fitness and movement and exercise as a part of your journey and a part of your healing, because really, again, it is on so many levels and how we can take care of ourselves. And so excited to be a part of this and help people in a completely different way. So for all those that have like, oh, can I come work out with you? Yes, you can at our gym. Now you officially can come work out with me.
Well, I'm excited to have you part of it and have Andy part of it too. I feel like you said we complement each other very well. And I think we're amongst the three of us are going to have a great time and also create just an amazing place for people to come and be their best self. So with that being said, we are planning on doing an 8 a.m. workout and a 9:30 workout.
With a live DJ.
A live DJ. And then we'll kick in on Monday with the normal schedule. But we really hope that all of you want to come join us. I mean, we'll give you a free class just to try it out.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you're going to come back for another.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I mean, why would you want to come hang out with us? We're obviously really fun.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And so the schedule during the week, we've got classes 5:30, 6:30, 8:30,
noon, and then 4:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m.
Yeah.
And then there'll be the regular Saturday 8 a.m. class and then the 9:30 PS class.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just to give people a little idea that haven't been to an F45 and kind of what the workout is like. So I've been to a lot of gyms, and I basically have lived in them and done many different styles of workouts. But there's many things that really stuck out to me about this style, because what was interesting, again, this is where you were like, God, they're just laughing at me, because I had actually, as I'm doing these workouts, I've never had a desire to personal train. Like, people ask me all the time, like, oh, you're at a workout for me. And I'm like, yeah, I can, but that's just, that doesn't really light me up. I love to work out and I will work out with you, but I didn't necessarily like want to write the plan. So I just never really got into the personal training part of it. But when I'm in these classes and I'm watching the trainers, I'm like, I could do this. Like, this would be kind of fun. And so I ended up reaching out to one of the trainers at one point I was just curious. I'm like, am I even considering this? I'm like, what? Like, where is this coming from? Fast forward a couple months later, like, oh yeah, you actually are going to be doing that.
Yeah.
But it was just the style of the workouts. It's so efficient. So I think oftentimes when we think group fitness is like people tripping over each other and, fighting for equipment, and it's not like that at all. It's like you have your designated stations. I mean, there were Saturdays where the place was packed, but we were moving like the most organized little ants through this little workout. It was so efficient and so, I don't know, I was just blown away by how efficient it was. Like, the workouts themselves, I mean, I blasted through like 600 calories and just soaked in sweat. And I'm like, oh, I haven't sweat like this in so long. It felt so good. But I loved how intentional the workouts are. So they're all done through corporate, because F45 is a franchise. And there's phases. So it's like you have a 4-week phase. And so that part I loved. Having the background that we have, that's important. You can't just be doing the same kind of workouts forever. There has to be some sort of progression. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's one thing I noticed right away. Like, that's different. That's cool. They've obviously thought about this.
Yeah.
And then the workouts themselves, whether they're more cardio based, there are some that are just more strength based. I'll never forget our first workout. My back was like, what the hell was that? Like, and I've been doing back workout. Like, oh, that was something I don't think I could. The next morning, I'm like, oh, yeah. But in the best way. Like,
you
so good.
have to share the video. Tammy took a really lovely video of our first workout. It actually was very good.
It was.
You'll have to share that with this.
I have lots of, and that's so fun. Like, I look back, I'm like, God, I miss this. Like, we had so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. I think it's important to note too that it's you challenge yourself as much or as little as you want to be. So you are in a station by yourself or with one other person, but you're working out with yourself in your own weights. So if at that day you're not feeling the weight, body weight, totally fine.
Yep.
If you need to take a break, take a break. You challenge yourself as much as you want. And it's not a scenario where you feel like you have to do more or you're falling behind. You can do whatever you want to do, which allows a beginner to come in and feel completely comfortable doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to stand out. No one's going to be staring at you. Nope. They don't care. They're doing their workout. Right. And we're all just trying to move through the stations, and they go really fast sometimes, so you don't have time to even look at anybody else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely a place for everyone to meet yourself where you're at.
Yeah.
And then, being open to being challenged and see what you can do. I think that's what kind of makes it fun and unique as well. But
yeah, I mean, this past weekend, I was in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I went to an F45 there because I've been really, really missing it, and that we don't have any other ones here in Madison. And I, for various reasons have, not been as regular with the gym as I would like to be. So, I kind of let up on a few things, and I mentioned it to the coach. She asked me right when we got there, how I was feeling, and I didn't go do my max. I didn't even get close, but I felt fabulous afterward.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's another thing to mention too, is that with the trainers there, because there is the demo at the beginning, and this is the other thing I loved, was because I have a memory like, well, what? You just told me your name. And I'm like, oh shit, I already forgot it. And so a lot of times with these kinds of classes where you have stations and the trainer goes through it, you're like, wait, what were we supposed to do there? And how are we supposed to do that? Like there's TVs and screens up there that have it up there. So I never had to worry about forgetting because like, oh, there it is. And I could see what the movement was. And so that's there throughout the entire workout. So again, when you're just thinking about efficiency, that way that frees up the trainer to be able to go around and actually help support and help correct form, because everyone is able to guide themselves in a way, and that way the trainer can actually really be there. And that was another unique aspect of F45 that I really enjoyed and appreciated. Yeah. Because then I didn't have to remember things. And there's timers. Like I don't have to time any of that. I don't have to count reps. Like, yes.
Do anything but show up.
Yes. And honestly, that was it, because I was so used to training by myself and counting my own reps and all that other kind of stuff, or getting out my own weights. Like, it's literally all set up. So I loved that. Like I just showed up. I just got to show up, and then I would check out and like let my soul leave my body and have the best time. Come back when we're done. Like it was just an incredible, joyful time. So
so super excited.
Just
chomping at the bit to get those doors open again. It will be very, very soon.
It's happening. So I told her, like, I feel like I'm literally about to have a baby. Like we're that month out, and your life is going to completely change. And so it's like that nesting period. One of the things I got to get done before my life completely changed, because people know, like, I am a creature of habit. If anyone follows my stories, my morning routine is usually from 3:15 to about 10 a.m. I'm doing the same damn thing. I was like, oh shit, this is going to blow things up. And honestly, you talk about surrender. This is the one thing I haven't surrendered. I have surrendered, every other aspect of my personal life. I'm separated. I moved into an apartment, the stable career, and all of these things. And I'm like, all right, God, whatever. This is what you want me to do. Okay, I'll do it. I have not surrendered my morning routine and my gym routine. And that was like, because I'm used to seeing the same people and I'm used to going the same place. I'm like feeling like, okay, like change is good. And it's this time in my life where I'm excited to see what this brings. And this will be fun.
It's going to be fun.
I can work out 5 times a day and no one can judge me because like, I own it.
I have to.
It's part of my job as an owner. I have to be there to lead.
Nothing wrong with that.
But we do plan on being there a lot, which will be fun to be able to see people when you come through. So So thanks for being brave and going first and doing all the work that you have done to make this happen, because this would not be possible without this woman. So
I love this stuff. So I'm excited that it's working out the way it is. Super pumped. Let's go. What is it? Hey, Madison, let's go.
Yeah, it is actually. Yes, absolutely. So we hope to see everyone at either our 8 o'clock class or our 9:30 class. And then we've got some awesome promos and all of those things to be able to try it out. Fall in love and never leave. Sorry, for those of you who are listening, I'm making odd faces. I'm making it weird and creepy. So it'll be a fun adventure. I'm here for it. Let's go.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
See you there.
See you there.